Welcome back to another Hump Day Real Estate with Kendell in the DMV. Man, today got special information for you. And let's see, let's make sure we got this straight. This segment is for the new investors and investors in general. I have a question for you. If you're investing in real estate or you're thinking about investing in real estate, well, this is a statement, not a question. You need to pay attention to what just happened in Baltimore, because this isn't just a Baltimore problem. This could happen in any market right now, and you wouldn't even know it. On October the 2nd, 2025, the Baltimore Banner published an explosive investigation exposing a massive foreclosure crisis tied to the fraudulent Dscr loan. We're talking about 500 plus properties. A New York-based scheme, and families been displaced. Major lenders have completely pulled out of Baltimore. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what happened, how the fraud works, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself as an investor, because the tactics used in Baltimore, they can be used anywhere. First, let's talk about this DSCR loan. DSCR loans are what are they, right? What is a that DSCR loan? And so we're gonna need to really understand the product and how it was exploited. DSCR, can't talk. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. These investment property loans that became extremely popular over the last few years, extremely popular. Here's why investors love them. No W-2s required. You don't need to show any employment income. No tax returns. Self-employed investors could qualify easily. Fast approval, much quicker than traditional mortgages. Based on property income. The lender just asks, does the rental income cover the mortgage payment? According to reports, DSCR loans made up to 40% of Baltimore's single-family rental financing last year. That's roughly 150 million in loans. For legitimate investors with real rental properties, these loans were a game changer. Now, I was thinking about what deal I can get in using this product myself. But here's where things went sideways. According to the Baltimore Banner's reporting, here's how the scheme operated. Step one, acquire cheap properties. Out-of-state investors, primarily from New York, bought properties in Baltimore for as little as $13,000 to $30,000. Many were vacant and in distressed condition. Step two, fraudulent flip. These same properties were immediately flipped to shell companies for 180,000 to 220,000 with zero improvements made. We're talking properties that needed complete gut renovations being valued as if they were fully renovated. Inflated appraisals. According to the investigation, appraisers were involved in inflating property values. Properties worth 30,000 were being appraised for 200,000. Where did we hear about this before? This sound like some 2008 stuff, right? Fake rental income. The loan applications claimed the properties had tenants paying 1,200 to 1,500 per month. In reality, many properties many properties were completely vacant, boarded up, no utilities, no tenants. Get approved and cashed out. Because DSCR loans only look at property income versus mortgage payment, these applications sailed through. The investors got hammered, and major lenders like RCN Capital and Deep Haven have completely stopped lending in Baltimore. Now we got to go into the impact. Let's talk about who actually got hurt by this, because it's not just numbers on spreadsheets, right? Tenants. According to reports, family who were legitimately renting properties suddenly faced eviction when the properties were into foreclosure. These weren't deadbeat tenants. They were paying rent every month. Their landlords, who many never met, were running a scam and were on the other side of the country. Neighborhoods. The fraud concentrated in East and West Baltimore, predominantly Black neighborhoods that were already dealing with high vacancy rates. Baltimore has over 13,000 abandoned buildings already. This crisis just added hundreds more foreclosures to the struggling blocks. Property values. When multiple properties on the same street go into foreclosure, it tanks value for everyone. Legitimate investors who bought properly deal did real renovations and have actual tenants, their property values are dropping through no fault of their own. What does that do for the local market? Wallet Hub recently ranked Baltimore as #4 worst U.S. market for jobs, foreclosures, and delinquencies. When major national lenders blacklist an entire city, it makes it nearly impossible for good investors to get financing, even when they're doing everything right. Looking at the broader scope of the industry, this has created a black swan panic around DSCR loans. Lenders are tightening underwriting nationwide. Legitimate products that help real real estate investors are becoming harder to access because of this fraud. Red flags and how to spot them. All right, so if you're investing, whether in Baltimore or anywhere else, here are the red flags you need to watch for. These are the patterns that, looking back, should have raised alarms. Red flag number one, out-of-state buyers never visiting. Well, just called and go buy that property for me. According to the industry sources, many of these investors bought properties sight unseen. They never walked the property. They never visited the neighborhood, never met local contractors or property managers. Red flag number two, inflated purchase prices. When you see properties selling for 5 or 10x what they sold for months earlier with no visible improvements, that's a massive red flag. Pull the property history If a house sold for 15,000 6 months ago and is now listed for 200,000 as a renovated rental, verify those renovations actually even happen. Red flag number 3, claim rental income doesn't match market. Research what actual rents are in the area. If someone claims they're getting 1,500 a month in a neighborhood where the average rent is 800, man, you got to question this, right? Pull rental comps from Zillow, apartments.com, or talk to your local property manager or any real estate agents. Red flag number 4, properties stand vacant after purchase. If properties are supposedly cash flowing rentals, right? But there are no cars in the driveway, no utilities connected, and the grass is 3 feet high, man, something's wrong about that picture, right? Red flag number 5, same investors buying multiple properties rapidly, right? When the same LLC or individual is snapping up 10, 20, 50 properties in the same neighborhood within months, that's a pattern worth investigating, right? That's really a that's not a normal pattern. So how to protect yourself? Your action plan to avoid becoming a victim of a similar fraud is number 1, always visit the property. I don't care if you live across the country. Get on a plane, walk the property, walk the block, talk to neighbors, check if there are actually tenants living there. If you're not willing to visit, you're not ready to invest, point blank, right? Why would you buy anything and purchase it sight unseen, especially at top of the market? Like that makes no sense at all. Verify rental income independently. Don't trust what the seller tells you. Pull actual rental comps. Talk to local property managers about realistic rents. Check vacancy rates. If the numbers seem too good, they probably are, right? Use your own appraiser. Don't blindly accept appraisal that comes with the deal. Consider getting a second opinion. If the value seems inflated, compare the appraisal to recent sales of similar properties. Like work with local professionals. Why would you do a deal and take your hard-earned money and get lenders involved to purchase a property, and the the professionals that you're working with don't not even have an office somewhere near that town, right? So find a realtor who knows the specific neighborhoods you're investing in. Find a property manager who operates in that area, right? Find contractors who can give you realistic renovation estimates. Local knowledge is everything. Understand the neighborhood fundamentals, right? You got to research, folks. You got to research. What's the employment situation? Now, I was just talking about this with somebody else. Census tract. What's going on in the area? Um, are the genuine economic drivers? Is crime improving or getting worse? You know, you buy this property. Are you going to be in the middle of a shootout? You know, are other legitimate investors active there? Need to pay attention. Are other investors putting their money where you're trying to put your money at right now? Don't invest it based on hope. Never, 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 never invest based on hope, right? Invest based on fundamentals. There are fundamentals to investing, folks. Know your exit strategy. What is your exit strategy, right? Before you buy, know what's my monthly cash flow. Can I afford to hold this if it doesn't rent immediately? What's my refinance plan? Who's my backup lender? If you're betting everything on appreciation, oh man, you're speculating. You're not investing at all. Check your lender's underwriting standards. Ask your lender, what do you verify? Do you confirm tenants actually exist? Do you send someone to physically inspect the property? Do you verify rental income with bank statements or lease agreements? Good lenders do all of this. National implications. Here's the uncomfortable question. Is Baltimore unique, or is this happening in other markets right now? DSCR loans exploded in a popularity over the last 5 years, few years or so. According to the industry data, they went from niche products to mainstream investment financing. Any market with low property prices, high vacancy rates, out-of-state investor interest, relaxed underwriting is potentially vulnerable to similar schemes. Cities like Cleveland, Detroit, Memphis, St. Louis, anywhere you can buy properties cheap and claim inflated rental income should have could have versions of this happening right now. The difference is Baltimore got investigated and exposed. How many markets have the problem surfaced then, right? How many markets have this problem surfaced then? Here's another concern. This erodes trust in DSCR loans as a product, right? So as a product, how can you have trust in a product that caused that folks are using this way that caused all this chaos? They're a legitimate tool for real investors. But when fraud like this happens, lenders panic, overcorrect. That means get good investors get shut out of the financing. So what does that mean, folks? That means that if I don't have the resources, you don't have the resources to find a loan similar to this one, just because of this chaos that has happened, we can't go buy properties as self-employed folks as easy as we once could within the last 2 years. So what needs to change? Based on what happened in Baltimore, here's what the industry needs to address. Better appraisal oversight, independent verification, not appraisers working with investor groups, actual tenant verification, proof that claimed tenants exist and are paying rent, property condition verification, physical inspections, not just photos, purchase price scrutiny. When did the seller buy it? For how much? What work was actually done? Neighborhood expertise. Lenders need local market knowledge, not just algorithms. Is Baltimore still investable? So the question everyone asks, should you avoid Baltimore completely? I, hmm, should you invest, should you avoid Baltimore completely? What do you guys think? Well, Baltimore still has 3 billion committed to anti-vacancy initiatives, genuine neighborhood revitalization in certain areas, Harbor East, Remington, Station North. Properties that can cash flow if bought at realistic prices. A government committed to addressing the housing crisis. But you have to be smarter now. You can't buy blind. You can't trust inflated numbers. You can't assume values will appreciate. According to the real estate analysts, legitimate opportunities share these characteristics. Properties in neighborhoods with genuine economic development. Purchase prices that reflect condition, not fantasy projections. Cash flow positive from day one at realistic rental rates, right? Local terms in place, property manager, contractors, realtors who know the area, conservative underwriting, assuming things go wrong, not right. That's conservative underwriting, assuming things go wrong, not right. So if you understand the way underwriting normally works, the underwriter is pounding, trying to make trying to find all the things that can go wrong, right? So that they are actually working against you when you're trying to get a mortgage. They're working against you, trying to beat the file up to see why this lender should not lend you this money, right? You need that, unfortunately, so that you won't have these problems like what this chaos has created. So the investors in Baltimore succeeding right now are the ones who were doing it right all along, right? Before this DSCR loans even came, there were investors that were doing it right. Boots on the ground, conservative numbers, long-term thinking, not I need to inflate a $13,000 purchase to 200,000 and I don't touch the property, right? That's just not. So if you got anything from this, which I hope you did, let's have a quick recap. Baltimore is experiencing a foreclosure crisis, and it's tied to fraudulent DSCR. Over 500 properties affected, concentrated in vulnerable neighborhoods. The fraud involved inflated appraisals, fake rental income, and shell company flips. Major lenders have pulled out of Baltimore entirely. Red flags include out-of-state buyers, inflated prices, and properties staying vacant. Protection requires on-ground verification, independent research, and local expertise. This could be happening in other markets right now. So, key takeaway, real estate investing is not dead. DSCR loans aren't inherently bad, but the days of buying blind based on pro formas from people you've never met, those need to be over. So, where to learn more? Read the full Baltimore Banner investigation. I put a link in the description. Research your local market for similar patterns. Verify everything before investing, right? You gotta verify everything. Work with local professionals who have skin in the game. The investors who get hurt by schemes like this are the ones chasing easy money and fast returns. The investors who succeed long term are the ones who do boring things, research, verification, conservative underwriting. local knowledge. If you don't want to get burned in real estate and you want to use this as a wealth vehicle that most people got into it for, do it right, folks. Another Hump Day Real Estate with Kendell in the DMV. Thank you for chiming in. See you again next week.